Hey Spuds, it's Jamie. Welcome back to another video. First video, I don't know, but welcome either way. I'm very glad to have you here. Thank you for clicking on today's video, which is asking the question, are the transphobes okay? We all know the answer is definitely not, but we ask it anyway. Today we're going to be looking at some examples of the most ridiculous transphobia, ludicrous statements, and maybe the odd accidental ally. But before we see if the transphobes are okay, are my apples okay? Delicious. Thank you to Love and Pies for partnering with me on today's video. If you think that was cool, then you'll love Love and Pies. It's a free to download mobile game for iOS and Android, and it is honestly my favorite game. I literally play it every single day, so I'm very excited to be able to talk about it. You merge ingredients like apples to make delicious pies and other baked goods, earning you tips to upgrade and design your cafe. Come see mine. It's fabulous and very big, if I do say so myself. Do not clip that out of context. And not only is it a beautiful game that is fun to play, the storyline is gripping and the characters are diverse. And Love and Pies are such good eggs, they even collaborate on Make Green Tuesday moves to make real life action to better our world. The next Green Tuesday is in collaboration with Joe Jonas to help verified green projects. On top of the awesome Joe Jonas collaboration, a festival themed event is also happening in October. I'm loving the music vibes the game is giving this month. I wonder what would happen if I merge these.
Don't you dare.
So don't be a sucker, forget about Cake by the Ocean, see what I did there, and go find yourself an Appleton Festival pass in Love and Pies right now on iOS and Android. So what are you waiting for? Go download Love and Pies now by clicking the link in my description box. And now, let's have a look at the transphobes not being okay. If you are a man in this country and you don't vote for Donald Trump, you're not a man. I do feel like if it was only women voting though, we would not have Donald Trump as president. Ever. Not a chance. The ever-growing list of things that actually make you a man or a woman. A transphobe will stand up and say,
no, trans people are not their gender. Trans women are not women. Trans men are not men.
And then turn around and be like,
and you're not a man if you don't vote for Donald Trump.
So basically, they're full of rubbish. That's the basically. Laura Ingraham Guest says trans people will destroy gender norms to create new species, human and part machine. These conspiracy theories around the trans community, they are running through a field of wheat, just with no bounds, no sense of reality. What the hell is going on? Trans people will destroy gender norms. I mean, are they not there to be destroyed? Should they not be destroyed? A lot of transphobes are all up for gender norms being pushed and being like, oh, well, just because you are a masculine girl does not mean you are trans, thank you. They are the ones that don't realize that gender expression and identity are separate things. But this new species, so trans people are going to mean that we're going to have part humans, part machines in the future who do not adhere to gender norms whatsoever. Sure. Sounds wonderful. Oh dear. If you know who this person is, I'm sorry.
Will we go back? Like somebody said to me, so I was having a discussion today and someone said, what do you know, what will happen? How will it end? When will we know that we've won? And I don't think it's just when the government basically stop us transitioning children, although that is no small victory. That's a massive thing if we stop the transitioning of children. I think we would also have to stop the transitioning of adults.
Oh my god. This is the same person who is very transphobic, wears that women, noun, adult, human, female t-shirt and all of that stuff. And this person is very notorious for spreading a lot of transphobic rhetoric. And to sit there as not an expert in gender identity in trans people or medicine and be like, yes, this gender affirmative approach that is the medically accepted, scientifically accepted, correct route for the treatment of trans people, including trans kids. And when she's like transitioning the children, it definitely sounds like one of those dog whistles where there's not an elaboration on the fact of, one, it's very difficult to access, and two, there are appropriate ages for each step. Children would be accessing talking therapy to speak through how they're feeling about their gender, being able to express themselves in a way that makes them feel comfortable, a social transition of like a name change and pronoun changes, and maybe when they get a little bit older, puberty blockers. They're very difficult to access. Nobody has an issue that cis kids with precocious puberty have puberty blockers. They only have an issue with trans kids. So when she's talking about trans kids transitioning, she's also talking about taking away mental health care as well to help kids going on a journey of being trans or figuring out their gender where they may need support. By removing that, it's absolutely abhorrent. It's literally the approved way of treating trans trans people is to allow them to express themselves how they feel comfortable, having talking therapy to speak through their feelings, having the ability to change their name and pronouns, and having access to things like puberty blockers, hormones, and surgeries at the age appropriate times.
I think we would also have to stop the transitioning of adults.
This is not a surprise to me that this is being said. Multiple people are being like, oh, well, now that we're starting to make progress on, really harming these children and not allowing them the medical care that they should absolutely have access to, now that we've done that bit, or we're making progress on that bit, it's not about protecting children. Oh, no. It is just about stopping trans people from being themselves. That's literally, it's no surprise. It's horrible, but it is not a surprise because trans people have been saying it for years, ever since these whole arguments came up of like,
This is just to protect women. This is just to protect kids.
trans people have been saying, no, these are dog whistles. It's just a foot in the door to stopping trans people from being able to transition and access appropriate healthcare and to be themselves. I found this video because somebody tweeted it saying, in case you have any doubts about the ultimate aim of the anti-trans movement, here is Posey Parker / Kelly J. Keane admitting the goal is to stop all transition. J.K. Rowling wears this person's merchandise and has even offered to pay her legal fees. My pronouns are you and your evil gender cult. I think if anyone is running a gender cult, it's the TERFs. A lot of the time, they fit the definitions of like a group just running on a baseless ideology, having cult-like and conspiracy level beliefs, being a bit evil. Yeah, I think that's a self-description. They are projecting their TERFs when gender borgs ask for our preferred pronouns. Evil gender cult, gender borgs. They come up with all these different statements for just trans people, and it's a tactic to dehumanize, because I think if we can humanize the trans experience and get it out there in front of more people and increase the positive representation and the accurate representation, people would realize that the trans community and trans people are just people. Being trans is just another way of being human. Groups like this stripping away the humanity and the individuality of the trans community and calling trans people an evil gender cult and gender borgs, it's taking away that ability for other people to see trans people as just people, and rather creates this like conspiracy fear of like, oh, this cult that's ruining everything. But yeah, so they're an exasperated Ben Affleck when trans people or trans allies or just anybody wanting to be respectful is asking for preferred pronouns. Why do you get so exhausted that somebody wants to make sure they're referring to you correctly and in a way that you want? I know why. It's because they're like, how dare you question whether I'm a real woman? That's the vibe that they give off. In reality, what they're pushing for, creating paranoia in people over who's using the bathroom and who's in certain prisons, is actually leading to increasing the harm and the exclusion of gender non-conforming cis women who have been kicked out of bathrooms, who have been sent to men's prisons because they've been taking estrogen and people have assumed they're a trans woman. And so they're not only harming trans women, but they're also harming cis women. They are harming the literal one group that they claim to protect. We know they're not protecting, but there is very clear evidence that they are causing harm to not just the trans community. So it really baffles me how people can buy into TERF ideology, but then they do lie a lot. Men can not be women. Please read a book and clean your room. That's a Twitter bio of a TERF account. But they're just going after trans women. So what do they think of trans men? And it's because as soon as TERFs include trans men in their arguments against trans women fall apart. And I use the term arguments very loosely. People who have beliefs like this are the epitome of feelings over facts. Like,
I don't care about facts. I'm just going with what I feel is right. I haven't opened a science book or read a science paper or looked into anything scientific or biological or medical since I was 5.
So there was a thing going around a while ago where 2 cis women pretended to be trans women, and a lot of transphobes just like, how the tables have turned, where is the acceptance? And also saying watching trans flag turn into TERFs when we identify as trans women will never stop being funny. I'm a trans woman. If I say I'm a trans woman, you don't get to gender police my identity. But if you're not trans, how can you be a trans woman? By identifying as trans, the literal meaning of that term, of that prefix, and of the term transgender means that you identify as a gender that is different to your assigned birth sex. If your gender and your assigned sex are the same, you literally cannot identify as trans. It's not trans people turning turfy. It's not trans people doing the same thing that transphobes do to them, to these cis women, by saying they can't identify as trans women. And I wonder what their reaction would be if trans people suddenly just started saying, okay, I'm a trans man, I'm gonna just identify as a cis man. There you go. No, that would be totally rejected. And also, I wouldn't do that because I'm not a cis man. I struggle to get my head round the complete lack of logic and critical thinking that is so apparent in transphobic conversations. They really think that trans people calling out two cis women who are trying to, like, I don't know, clout chase, I don't know what they're doing, get money, get attention by calling themselves trans women when they are cis women, and the trans community going, that's not right. And that call out has been likened to TERF rhetoric of saying that, like, trans people just aren't valid. How are those two things in any way the same? The answer is they're not, but transphobes just don't understand anything about the trans community, so they can't see how they're totally different, or they can, and they're just playing silly to be transphobic. And I've seen this kind of thing be called trans fishing, and it's typically where cis women are trying to gain more fans, notoriety, and money by pretending to be trans. And that's not okay. That is really not okay. And then, like, these people are turning around and being transphobic. There's no respect there. There's no appreciation of, like, what it actually means to be trans and the discrimination that comes with being trans, because you're just pretending to make money and then going back to your cis life. I really don't like people sometimes. So I don't know if anyone remembers, but the wonderful David Tennant, who is a massive trans ally and LGBT plus ally in general, said this at this year's LGBT plus awards.
Until we wake up and Kemi Badenoch doesn't exist anymore, I don't wish ill of her, I just wish her to shut up.
In light of that, Kemi Badenoch has launched her leadership campaign by promising to take the fight to Doctor Who. She specifically framed her campaign around fighting David Tennant. This tweet was shared with showing that David Tennant has a net positivity rating of 62. She's literally going after one of the most beloved British actors because he told her to stop being transphobic. J.K. Rowling called David Tennant part of the gender Taliban for defending trans people. I mentioned this in another video recently, and it's just yet another gender Borgs, evil gender cult, gender Taliban. It's all just an attempt to make trans people look evil and bad and scary and incite fear from others over trans people, and it's just wrong. And David Tennant is out there being trans supportive, being a good guy, and she's like making him sound like the epitome of evil. Oh, we have another video today. You ready?
Hi, we're the founders of the Battle Cry. I'm Britt.
I'm Melissa.
And I'm Carrie.
The Battle Cry was founded in 2023 in response to the gender ideology cult
Gender ideology cult, got another one.
that is systemically erasing women, and the hostile war on truth that is invading our schools, our churches, our government, and our businesses.
We are a political, religious, and social army intervention declaring that we are at war.
I'm shocked. That's so extreme. The people who face a lot of discrimination and don't have equal rights, who are like under 1% of the population of the world, they're getting a tiny bit more representation. We're hearing that they exist in schools and in other contexts. How lovely is that? No.
We declare war on this
Marginalised 1% of society who just want rights and a little bit of representation and to not be discriminated against.
How dare they ask for these things?
We are countering the opposition and pushing back as a collective, united front to preserve truth and the original design of the nuclear family.
The original design of the nuclear family. It really bugs me as well because I'm pretty sure those coffee cups are empty. The original, they look like they're going to a funeral.
Which is men, women, and children.
So they're homophobic as well. This is what I always say. Transphobes, they're like a little onion, right? They make you cry. And also, as you peel back the layers, you got transphobe on the outside, and then you take a layer, and it's a homophobe, and then you take a layer, and racist, and you take a layer, and misogynist. And it's just bigotry. The core of it is transphobes are just bigots, and they're using the same recycled bigotry that we have seen forever. And there has always been a main target group of this bigotry. And right now it's trans people. So right now they're all transphobic. But if you went back 20, 30 years, they'd all be homophobic. I'm not saying that homophobia and racism and misogyny aren't still a problem now. They very much are. And I believe a lot of people who are transphobic genuinely are also all of those things. It's just transphobia right now is the most publicly acceptable thing to be. So they can make these little videos and do these posts and go on TV and be bigots, and transphobia is the thing that they are allowed to be. In the UK, a lot of airtime is given on like radio and talk shows to transphobes who are literally there stating how they don't think trans people should have access to healthcare or be able to transition, and they're spouting lies about how trans rights impede on women's rights, which they absolutely don't. It's ridiculous. And how kids are being forced into transition, and it's acceptable for them to go on TV and say these things. It would not be acceptable anymore for them to go on and be vehemently homophobic, although they probably still are underneath the transphobia. The transphobia is just a front-facing bigotry. Never surprises me to find out that a transphobe is bigoted in other ways.
The future of our society depends on what we do now. And in order to win, we must all collectively fight back together and not stop until we win. This is our battle.
Honestly, what do they actually think they're fighting against? What do they think they are devoting and wasting their lives doing? Do they really, really not understand at all that they are wasting their time being hateful? XXXY, what have you done? What are you doing? What will you do? Est 2023. If I saw this, the XXXY would definitely make me question if it was a bit dodge. But I would honestly view this as some kind of like really heavily stereotyped, oh, let's make a brand that gets men into makeup. The battle cry. It saddens me, and this might sound a bit weird, but I really like pity people who get so consumed by hate in this way. Like, what are you doing with your life when you are devoting yourself to hating on trans people, like people who literally just want to live their lives and have access to healthcare and just not be discriminated against? Please, like, that is literally it. And you are sat there dedicating yourself and your time to hating on this group of people. For what reason? Because you don't understand them, because you've not bothered to speak to anybody from the community that you so passionately hate. I think it's very arrogant to make content like this and to do posts and to be so wholeheartedly transphobic and speak so confidently lies about the trans community. I do think it's very sad. I'm still very angry. I still really don't like them. I hate what they're doing, but I do pity, because I think being so filled with hate and fear, I personally think it just like eats people from the inside. It will age you prematurely. It will make you a bitter, twisted person the longer that you're stuck in it. And we've seen it happen to people. So mostly I just feel pity. And I'm like, this could all be fixed and your life would be so much happier if you just read a post or watched a video or had a conversation with a trans person and opened your heart to listening. And I think that is a good place to stop today's video. Thank you so much for watching. What did you think? Go leave a comment down below. If you liked it, think about giving a thumbs up and subscribing if you want to, but no pressure. And don't forget to go click that link to show some love to Love and Pies. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Much love. Bye.